Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Beauty Confidential. So today we're going to be talking about Love Island USA Season 8. We're going to be covering the past few days across a few videos. Today we will be talking about Aniya and KC. So first of all, it is very important to know your worth. Don't be caught off guard. Know the signs. So let's get into this. Wow, Aniya and KC. Aniya needs to know her worth. She's a pretty girl with a lot going on for her. And I feel like the signs were there when it comes to KC not being that into her. I do feel like he built up resentment toward Aniya, and I was right about that. You could totally tell he built up resentment. You can see it, you can feel it. It was all over the place, but for some reason she ignored those red flags. She ignored those signs. He later admitted to her that he had resentment towards her. I think he resented her because he wasn't getting the full Love Island experience like he wanted to, you know? He was coupled up with her the whole time, and he wasn't that into her in the first place. And he wanted to explore. You know, I really feel that he wanted to explore. He just didn't know how to go about telling her that. He didn't know how to go about, like, anytime any little thing would happen and that Aniya would catch, he would kind of backpedal because she would seem to be upset. Like even when Soul entered the picture, you know, she seemed pretty threatened by Soul. But yeah, I felt like he built up resentment toward Aniya. Part of the reason being when Soul came in, he was very attracted to her and wanted to explore her and get to know her. He even said she looked like his ex. Okay. So that tells you something right there. That's like one of the first big clues that he wanted to go out and explore people, especially Soul. I think he felt like Aniya was in the way of that. He definitely wanted to pursue Soul, though. I think he felt Aniya was in the way. Soul is also Soul is a very pretty girl, beautiful girl, but has a completely different look than Aniya, though. Okay. I feel like KC was very attracted to Soul, and he may have felt like he missed out on an opportunity with Soul. She ended up getting dumped from the island later. Okay. And when they hugged, because when she got dumped from the island on her way out, her and KC hugged. When they hugged, you can totally tell he was really attracted to her, and he must have felt like okay. And he regretted not getting to know her better while she was at the villa. I think he really, really, really regretted not getting to know her. And then he started resenting Aniya, and he took it out on Aniya. So if he didn't resent her before, which I think he did resent her before Soul came into the picture, the resentment was stronger than ever at that point. I think that's when it really, really, truly began. So whenever he got the opportunity to go to Casa Amor, he must have felt like it was a green light to go pursue anyone. You know, he felt like he felt like he totally got the green light to go pursue anyone that he wanted. Remember how happy he looked? He was happier than it seemed like he was the happiest of everyone going to Casa Amor. So that was his green light, okay? To pursue anyone he wanted. And he went all the way in, you guys. KC went in. If you guys watch Love Island USA Season 8, you can see how KC was like, okay, this is my pass. I'm going all the way in. You know, he knew what he was going to do. He seemed to have the attitude that he lost his opportunity with Soul. Okay. So he wasn't going to let this opportunity pass him by again. Like it did, like he let the opportunity pass with Soul. And I think he had huge regrets for that. Also, he seemed to have the relief that he could do whatever he wanted without Aniya being around. The signs were there. The signs were there, though, you guys. Like, you can totally tell that the signs were there. Aniya just chose to turn the other way. He definitely showed signs along the way, and Aniya chose not to see them, okay? So you have to be able to see the signs, you guys. They're right in front of you. The signs are going to be right in front of you. Trust me on this. When a guy is into you, you will know he's going to be all over you. He's going to be all about you. There won't be any question. Okay? You will be able to tell. He wants to be close to you. He wants to be near you. He wants to face you. He wants to look at you. You can totally tell when a guy is into you. And KC, I don't think he was ever really into Aniya. Maybe a little bit in the beginning, but she wasn't really who he wanted to really go to Love Island for. And although she's pretty, I just don't think she was the type that he wanted or something. There was something off with that and up with that. And like, he wanted to be able to have the full Love Island experience and explore as many women as he could, or at least explore the women that he wanted to explore without Aniya, getting on his case about it. So when a guy is not into you, though, you'll also be able to tell when he's not into you. You know what I mean? He won't be all over you. He won't want to be around you, and he won't want to, you could just, you'll be able to tell, like, you won't be able to mistake it, you guys. It's completely different opposite ends. When a guy is into you, you will know it. Like, you literally, it might even feel like it's a bit much, suffocating. I mean, I don't want to say love bombing because that's what narcissists do, but he will definitely show his interest because men are naturally hunters and chasers, and they want to go after what they want. They want to pursue who they want to pursue, So you guys just have to be able to see the signs. And I just felt like Aniya didn't see the signs. And if she did see them, she chose to ignore the signs. You have to be able to see the signs when they're right in front of you instead of seeing what you want to see. These men will show you the signs, you guys. You guys have to see them. This is a learning experience for Aniya and KC and anyone watching, because I feel like these people kind of did what they do in the real world, but then the cameras are watching, like the whole roster thing with some of the people having rosters at Love Island. And that's might be what they do on the outside, but you're doing that on the inside of Love Island. And yeah, you're there to see if you have connections and explore people, but you can't really lie to people. This is going off the subject of Aniya and KC. This is other people at the island, like Sincere, just telling every girl what they want to hear. And that's probably what he does in real life when, with his roster, kind of leads every girl on. And then he might have one girl that he's into the most. And then that's going to be the one that he's, like, you can't really play the roster thing on Love Island. You can explore people, but you can't really do what you would do in the real world because everybody is seeing that, And that was getting off topic a little bit. But I just think even with KC, not being into Aniya, I mean, in the real world, he would have probably ghosted her. Honestly, I think he would have probably ghosted her because on Love Island, he's forced to be around her. In the real world, he can just leave it alone, ghost her, and move on. And then maybe circle back and spin the block whenever the girls that he really wants are not really into him or not, doing what he wants or not wanting to be intimate with him, or maybe if he gets sick of them or whatever, he'll circle back around to Anaya. That's what he would probably have done in the real world, or just, because it just, with Love Island, it's exposing some of these people's traits in the real world for sure. But you just have to have the self-worth and open your eyes to what he's showing you. Like, I don't feel like Anaya really knows her worth 100%. I don't think she really knows, so any man that would show interest in her, she's interested in. The signs were there all along the way. And I believe deep down, Anaya knew that. She knew he wasn't that into her, but she didn't want to admit it to herself, basically. So when KC came back to the villa with TT, he was so disrespectful. He had no empathy for her, and he was even laughing at her. It seemed like he was laughing. I don't know if it was just the camera catching him at odd times. Maybe he wasn't laughing at her at all, but it just seemed like he had no empathy. It was horrible. He resented her, and you could totally tell. I mean, when he came back with TT, he came back in with a vengeance. Like, the resentment ran deep, and you can totally tell. So things would have been much better if he would have made it clear that he would be exploring at Casa, and that she should do the same. After all, that's what they're on Love Island for, right? She may have thought KC would explore at Casa. Like, Anaya may have thought KC would explore at Casa. But she may have thought that he would come back to her at the villa, because she had that connection with Carl, but she didn't choose Carl. She believed in KC so much that she let a good connection. She was willing to let a good connection go in Carl, to risk. She was willing to take the risk to be there standing alone and be there for KC, and then he came through with TT. I do believe Anaya really did like Carl, and I believe she likes Carl because, he ended up returning to the villa later. And not even much later. It was like literally right away. They allowed him to come back into the villa, which was really a good thing for Anaya, because besides KC, she made no other connections in there. I think she, like, in the back of her mind is like crushing on Sincere, but Sincere's with Melanie, and Melanie is her friend. But remember, she wanted Sincere in the beginning, and Sincere chose Melanie. So I don't know if I don't know. We can talk about that a little later in another video, because that's getting off topic. But yeah, so Anaya explored with Carl at Casa, but dropped him for KC. Okay? And her and Carl had a really good connection. Carl is like really mature in everything. He seems older just because he's so mature acting, and just seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. The way KC came back with TT to the villa, it just came off as ruthless as hell. Anaya had said that she had never been belittled like that in her life. She said she was humiliated. I mean, remember, you guys, this is on TV. So everything she was going through, crying, humiliation, him coming back with TT, him defending his decision, all of that was on TV, and she couldn't escape from it. She had even mentioned that she wanted to leave, and Melanie talked her into staying, and Melanie like immediately comforted her and consoled her and got her back to, just talked her back into just kind of being calmed down a bit. But, so Anaya had been crying. Emotions were high. The other girls at the island were also like, speaking up for Anaya, and like, how could Casey do this to her? But Casey was totally defending it, Emotions were running high. He didn't even go to check on Anaya either at that time. He didn't go console her or comfort her. They later spoke, though, and it seemed like they were going to be on cordial terms. And at the end, he asked her for a hug. He had asked Anaya for a hug, and she said, F no. She was probably still heated in that moment, though, because it was fresh. But after a while of cooling off, because at movie night, they were showing Casey again, and Anaya had actually ran up on Casey and was yelling in his face, standing over him yelling. And she went in front of like all the guys and apologized to Casey. I don't know if the producers told her, you know what, you should probably apologize because the way you look on TV is the way you're going to be remembered. It's the way people are going to see you. Or it could have just really just been her apologizing. Who knows? But it's probably good she did that because it could have totally ruined her reputation. Like she's almost bullying KC because the way people are kind of looking at it. Because also another thing, Anaya couldn't believe that after 3 weeks, KC could actually do her like that. She couldn't believe that Casey could do her dirty and go choose another girl. But actually, 3 weeks is not a long time. And they're on Love Island to find connections and to explore, you know, and Casey had every right to explore. He just didn't have to do her like that, though. He could have just said, hey, you know, I want to explore. He just seemed to not have any empathy. He said he's making the decision for himself. And that's all fine, but he could have totally showed more empathy, you know. But after she ran up on KC at movie night, she apologized later for that, which really was good that she did that. So after a while of cooling off, some time had went by. I think it was even the next day or the next couple days later. Anaya and KC were able to talk. KC actually came up to Anaya and apologized to her because the first time they had spoke, he was like, "Oh no, you speak." He called her over for a chat, but yet he was like, "Oh, you talk." He wanted her to talk. He didn't even say anything, which I think he should have went about it and just first of all just said he was sorry. But he ended up doing that though when he called her for a chat the next time. You know, after a day or two of cooling off, they were able to talk, and he apologized, and they actually seemed like they were in a good place after that apology. They both apologized to each other. They're actually cordial with each other now, and they even hugged after they spoke this time. So now Anaya, it's appearing more that they both let it go, which is probably the best thing to do because if you think about it, they were basically strangers when they came into that, and then they're on Love Island to find, you know, their person and to find a connection, but she just wasn't that person for KC. You know, Anaya was not that person for KC. And it's not like Anaya goes off empty-handed because she actually was able to find a connection with Carl, you know, so it's not like she leaves, you know, with no connection or anything. But anyway, after they had spoke a bit, they apologized, they hugged, they got over it. So Anaya has Carl now, who she was with at Casa, and he was able to come back to the villa. Okay. So he's back at the villa and, you know, she's able to focus her energy on Carl. Hopefully she can focus her attention on herself and Carl, and any other connection she may want to explore. I think Carl is it for Anaya though. He's a really good seeming guy. This guy seems like a really good guy, and he seems to genuinely be into Anaya, which is what she needs. He seems like a really good guy, and he seems to be genuinely into Anaya. She deserves that, you know. She also seems more confident now that she's with Carl. When she was with Casey, she didn't seem as confident. She didn't seem like she had it seemed like she had a lot of insecurities when she was with KC. Like she felt like he may want to explore. I think that Carl has made her feel more secure, that he's not going anywhere, you know? And that's much healthier for Anaya mentally. Okay. I think that this whole experience is a learning lesson for them, and they can learn something from this, her and KC, and actually all the people on Love Island. They can learn something from this, and they can learn what to do and what not to do moving forward. I hope Anaya and Carl can work out. So we will be seeing in the next coming episodes of Love Island. I will be doing an update on this video as well, because this video is basically covering Anaya, KC, and Carl, and TT actually as well, because KC and TT. But I'll do like an update, and as Love Island continues. There's only about a week left of the season of Love Island, though. So the next video I'm going to be covering right after this is Jen and Gall, though. Okay, that's another version of a video where, like, this is like another situation where someone needs to know their worth. Okay, so I'll be doing a video on Jen and Gall next, my next video. So that will be coming soon. And thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to love yourselves, treat yourself well, treat yourself the same way you want someone else to treat you, okay? Because if you don't love yourself, then like you know what I mean? Like no one else can really truly love you if you don't even love you, you know? But anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.